In-depth football coverage from The Athletic is now just £1 per week. See the link in the description to sign up today. Manchester United have finally appointed a football director. United were a little unusual among top European clubs for not having an individual in this position, but a search that began in 2018 has culminated with John Murtough's appointment to the role. Now, while some sporting directors operate largely away from the public eye, others, like Ralf Rangnick, Monchi or Michael Zorc, have become well-known names for their ability to oversee managerial transitions and player recruitment. So, who is John Murtough, and what exactly will he be doing for Manchester United? Now, firstly, it's worth saying that the terminology here can be a little bit confusing. Different clubs use different titles for roles that are similar but not exactly the same. But generally speaking, a football director, sporting director, or a director of football has two major functions. Firstly, to plan recruitment by overseeing the scouting network, identifying targets that fit with the club's approach and ethos, and often negotiating those transfers. And secondly, they often also build succession plans, so that an incoming manager or head coach applies a style and system of football that works for the existing playing squad. You see, the key to both elements is long-term strategic vision. It allows clubs to avoid rushed decision-making or appointments or signings that don't fit what's already there. And these are both issues that United have struggled with in the past, and part of what Murtough is there to negate. Murtough was brought to United in November 2013 by David Moyes and rose to prominence as a fixer, according to The Athletic's Laurie Whitwell, preparing reports on all aspects of the club for the then new chairman Ed Woodward. Murtough became head of football development in 2016, overseeing alterations to the academy, a task that suited him because of his previous experience running the FA's elite player performance plan. He was also involved in bringing in Nick Cox as academy chief, and 4 years ago Dave Harrison from Manchester City as head of youth recruitment. Spending on the academy has increased fourfold between 2015 and last year, and the coaching staff has grown too. So Murtough's interest and influence extends throughout the club already. He's worked with the women's team, a growing force in the domestic game, and with his appointee Steve Brown, the club's head of scouting. And he's also been credited with having had significant influence in United's recent decision to sign young promising talents like Ahmad and Hannibal Mejbri. Working with Murtough will be Darren Fletcher in his new role of technical director. While less clear, it's expected that Fletcher will add footballing credibility to United's efforts to sell themselves to top-level transfer targets, as well as working with the more senior staff at the club and also members of the coaching staff too, to maintain a link between the technical side and the playing side of the organisation. The structure, which looks like this, will shift the day-to-day work of player acquisition away from Woodward and the retitled Director of Football Negotiations Matt Judge, although Judge will then take over once targets have been approached to work through contracts, as was previously the case. Above this new structure, Woodward will oversee and liaise with the owner, Joel Glazer, and ultimately sign off on deals. United have struggled to find a system that works, having moved away from the immensely successful but autocratic approach of Sir Alex Ferguson. Now, this is partly because Ferguson was unique, able to sit across elements of the club in a way that his longevity made possible for him, but unlikely for any successor. Football has evolved, and its top clubs have grown into multi-faceted organisations. The demands on a modern-day coach make being equally involved with transfer activity, as well as managing the first team, overseeing a youth system and working with the sports science departments, completely unrealistic. United have also come to realise that the more continental model of a sporting director is not entirely desirable for them. A thoughtful and experienced voice who is part of conversations suits both Woodward and Solskjær more than a buffer with decision-making autonomy who sits between the two. That's what a traditional football director would do, but it doesn't fit United's current methods or the personalities already in play. So instead, United have promoted Murtough to function within recruitment, rather than as an all-powerful figure. He's there to provide a greater degree of long-term strategy and to bring specific footballing and recruitment expertise. This very likely will include conversations about potential future head coaches or managers, but without the power to appoint them. That will reside with Woodward and Glazer alone. Darren Fletcher, who won 5 Premier League titles and a European Cup, brings genuine football knowledge, and this should aid both in talent identification and in selling the club to potential targets, especially as yet another senior member of staff with credibility as a formerly successful player in the club's colours. This appointment should improve United's workings in the transfer market too. Murtough himself was head of a 2020 working group which aimed to enhance the club's data strategy, and while those improvements remain in process, they'll work in conjunction with a traditional scouting department which has been under refinement for some time. There is of course still the danger that managerial transitions, without the proper long-term planning that could sit above that process from a figure of genuine footballing experience, could go wrong. But United probably don't want to disturb the status quo too much. And an internal appointment of a figure already known and respected within the club but without the same level of power as some football directors works for them. Manchester United have long been a football club that prizes the idea of club DNA, or the United way. And it's probably the case that they have more former players in senior positions than any other major English side. This should be able to afford them a degree of continuity whatever happens, in ethos and outlook at least. And the new structure is there to help by making the mechanics of player acquisition better and smoother. If you liked today's video, please subscribe to the channel to help us reach 1 million subscribers. And we're also pleased to be able to offer you access to The Athletic for just £1 per week. Follow the stories that you care about with closer access and intelligent takes. See the link in the description now to sign up. Thank you.